Tinubu under intense pressure to let Nnamdi Kanu go. The latest move by the Southeast governors and members of the National Assembly, NASS, to meet with President Bola Tinubu to discuss the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has sparked diverse reactions. Kanu has been a subject of contention in Nigeria's political landscape. While some see him as a symbol of their struggle for self-determination, others view him as a threat to national unity. Meanwhile, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, the apex Igbo socio-cultural organization, Alisa Agbakoba, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, and Ikoro Ndigbo, among other groups, have welcomed the move as a step towards finding a political solution to the impasse, whereas spokesperson for the Northern Elders Forum, Abdulaziz Suleiman, kicked against the proposal. Suleiman argued that Kanu's release would undermine the country's criminal justice system and embolden separatist groups. Furthermore, some have described the move as belated, suggesting that it should have come earlier given the urgency of the situation. Kanu's continued detention has been a source of concern for many in the southeast region. The IPOB leader's release has been a long-standing demand of various groups and individuals, including candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party, LP, in the 2023 general election, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Mr. Peter Obi, respectively. Governors from the Southeast under the umbrella of the Southeast Governors Forum, Tuesday, met in Enugu with a resolve to meet with Tinubu to plead for the release of Kanu. The decisions of the governors were contained in a communiqué read to the media by their chairman and governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodimma. Interestingly, barely 24 hours after the governors met, senators from the region numbering 15, led by a former Abia State Deputy Governor, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, met with the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, in Abuja, to plead with Tinubu for Kanu's release. They submitted a letter to the AGF seeking political solution to the criminal charges against Kanu. Also, Southeast lawmakers in the House of Representatives called on the president to consider releasing Kanu. The region's caucus in the House made the call in a statement signed by the 43 lawmakers from Anambra, Abia, Enugu, Imo, and Ebonyi states. The lawmakers noted that an out-of-court settlement remained the best option, adding that it would also restore peace in the southeast geopolitical zone. Recall that 50 members of the House of Representatives from different parts of Nigeria and political parties, known as Concerned Federal Lawmakers for Peace and Security in the Southeast, had, on June 19, appealed to Tinubu to invoke Section 174 of the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, and Section 107(1) of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, 2015 for the release of the IPOB leader from detention. The clamor for political solution in Kanu's case had heightened recently with Igbo political and traditional leaders, including Ohanaeze Ndigbo, pressing the FG to drop the terrorism charges against the IPOB leader. Not guilty. Kanu, who pleaded not guilty to the charges, has been in the custody of the Department of State Service, DSS, since June 2021 after he was repatriated from Kenya. The Federal High Court in Abuja, on March 19, 2024, rejected his bail application. Therefore, the proposed meeting between the Southeast governors, NASS members, and Tinubu is seen as a positive step towards finding a solution to the impasse over Kanu's detention. Speaking, Agbakoba welcomed the move by the governors and the federal lawmakers. "It's very good," he said, and urged the president to consider the calls for political solution to the lingering issue. Also, the convener of Ikoro Ndigbo, Ugo Kimmeris Chinidu Isuzu, commended the Southeast governors and other leaders for their efforts to engage with the president on the pressing issue of insecurity in the region. He said, although belated, their intervention is a welcome development, as it prioritizes the welfare of the people, which is the essence of leadership. The prolonged detention of IPOB leader has had a devastating impact on the region, hindering businesses, development, and fundamental human rights, including freedom of expression. I urge the Tinubu government to consider the delegation's appeal and work towards a peaceful resolution, fostering development, harmony, and prosperity in the Southeast. Similarly, Okachukwu Nwangema, Executive Director, Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center, RULAC, noted that the renewed efforts by the governors and other stakeholders to secure the release of Nnamdi Kanu were a welcome development. I know that there have been previous calls by some former and serving Southeast governors, NASS members, and some political leaders in the region for the release of Kanu, but this call has not elicited any positive response from the president, Nwangema stated. RULAC had also recently made a similar call, and it can't be overemphasized that the FG needs to reassess its strategies in tackling insecurity in the Southeast. He urged the FG to explore dialogue and constructive engagement, stressing that the reliance, almost exclusively on force, has not worked but instead, escalating insecurity. As Rulak previously argued, releasing Nnamdi Kanu is a necessary step towards de-escalating violence and insecurity in the southeast, he added. Nnamdi Kanu's release will likely end the albatross of sit at home, which appears to have become a permanent weekly ritual contributing to loss of man-hours, huge economic losses, curtailment of the rights to movement, dignity, and life, and increased hardship in the region. It will reduce attacks on security personnel and infrastructure, which often result to reprisal attacks, subjecting a whole community to indiscriminate and collective punishment for crimes committed by a few misguided individuals who in some cases are not members of the affected community. Slumber. In the same vein, the National President, Ohani's Youth Council, OYC, Comrade Igboyaka O Igboyaka, the governors and other Igbo leaders woke up very late from their slumber when enough damages had been done by former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. He said, insecurity contributed almost 60% to the rotten economy of Nigeria. Therefore, to put an end to unknown gunmen in southeast, bandits, and Boko Haram in the north is another strategic means to grow Nigeria economy. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should ignore all forms of blackmail and conspiracy by former President Buhari's government against Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB and commence a peace-building project and hearken to the voice of eminent Nigerians on the political solution to the problem by directing the AGF to withdraw all the charges against the IPOB leader and grant him unconditional release. Not a fresh demand. But for the National Publicity Secretary of Ohani's Ndigbo, Dr. Alex Ogbania, it's not the first time such move was being made. It is not a fresh demand. If you go back to record, you will see where Soludo talked about his release, including Adi, who just came in last year, Ogbania said. What all of us, including the Southeast governors, are saying is that Kanu should be released from incarceration, especially when a court of competent jurisdiction has set him free. Keeping him there does not solve any problem. Rather, it creates and intensifies the problems in the Southeast. Whether we like it or not, Kanu will be released because the more he is there, the more the clamor for his release. Can you look at what is happening at the National Assembly? Nobody would have come to sign for his release, but they have got 50. And they may even be more in 2 months. The clamor continues, it is not reducing. The more he is detained, the more there will be clamor both home and abroad. Whoever is thinking that releasing him isn't to the advantage of Nigeria is making a mistake. In the Southeast, some people blame the sit-at-home that takes place every Monday on the fact that Kanu is in detention. If he is released, there won't be any sitting at home. That aspect of insecurity will be reduced to the barest minimum. Foreman Delegation. President of Credibility Group, Chief Gadi Uwajiraike, said, Kanu has been in prison. As soon as Buhari came in as president, he got him, grabbed him, and didn't let him go. I was part of the Foreman delegation that visited him. Myself, Bishop Anyuha, Matsi Amici and Dr. Azif, we thought that we were talking to a human being, yet he didn't do what he promised us privately, that he would look into it and give us a positive response. For President Bola Tinubu, the knife and yam are on his table. He has the right to tell the Attorney General to withdraw the case, saying, Kanu, you are free, go. When that happens, a political solution has been reached. Political solutions are so important in negotiation. When we say political solution, it means everybody can shake hands, but in a judicial conclusion, there is none. Parties do not shake hands in court. While one goes home happy, another leaves frowning. Those who want Kanu in prison are working overtime to ensure that the president doesn't look in that direction. It is our duty to support the president and Ohanis that keeps calling for the release of Kanu. The average Igbo man has no reason to abandon Kanu, and we will keep looking for a solution. When an issue ripens, we all pay attention to it. The role of Kanu in the day-to-day affairs in the Southeast can't be overemphasized. The governors are looking for solutions. National dimension. Publicity Secretary of Igbo think tank, Aka Ikenga, Mr. Collins Ugwu, argued, it is a welcome development. If the governors had a meeting and this was one of their major statements, it speaks to the fact that Kanu's issue has rightly assumed a national dimension for the peace of the sub-region and the country. If the governors who receive security information in all zones are requesting the president to release Kanu, I think nothing can be more salutary than that. We support it entirely and we wish them, governors, to actually walk their talk. Governance is a deliberate process. To achieve a coherence of 5 state governors of different parties demanding one major issue takes time to mature. They should ensure that even though their demands appear late, it is radically and speedily pursued to make up for lost time. The protocol of Kanu's arrest is in the open. It is one of the most discussed subjects. The court was on it and he, Kanu, had a series of victories. The Constitution ascribes to him some rights, and we are saying civil liberty and rights as guaranteed by the Constitution make sense to the extent that it is respected. There have been pronunciations in that direction. If governors are making this demand, it speaks to the weight and persuasion of its merits. Irresponsible stance. Meanwhile, speaking in his personal capacity, spokesperson for Northern Elders Forum, Abdulaziz Suleiman, said, "It is indeed a curious, ridiculous, and unfortunate abuse of constitutionalism, rule of law, and decency for Igbo leaders to insist on the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu without trial." Stay tuned and have a blessed day.